What is up, everybody? Welcome to some Yidris Thunderstorm. Hope you're ready to get in that storm shelter. Survive that Yidris Thunderstorm that's coming in. It's coming in hot. But yeah, so we got some Yidris action. I've really enjoyed playing Yidris. This is a really fun commander. I've never played a storm-based deck, so this is really exciting for me. Like in no formats, modern, legacy. I don't play vintage, but I don't play storm in there. But so to actually build an actual storm deck, I had a lot of fun playing this. It's one of those commanders that, it's a little air horn magic sometimes. Like, he kind of goes off, and it's a little janky sometimes. Like, I feel kind of bad doing some of this stuff, but, it is what it is. It's Yidris. I've had a few opponents scoop kind of early because they were like, hey, that's magic BS. And then they scoop, so I've had a few of those, but I've really enjoyed the deck. It's a lot of fun. It's a little Narset sometimes, kind of glass cannon. It falls flat on its face, but other times it's just absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful. But let's jump into Yidris. So we're playing Yidris. He has Trample. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, as you cast spells from your hand this turn, they gain Cascade. And what Cascade means is that, let's say that we get his effect going. We cast a spell that costs 5. We're going to flip the top card of our library until we hit a spell that costs 4 or less. So basically, we're going to be able to cast these free spells that cost less than what the spell that we're casting. One of the ways that I really wanted to take advantage of Yidris' ability is by being able to give it double strike. And when we give it double strike, it's going to have double cascade. So our spells are going to have cascade. So we cast a spell that costs 5, we're going to have a cascade until we hit something, and then we'll have another cascade. So it kind of puts us in the spot to where we want to give Yidris double strike, and then we can kind of go off. Once we have a couple different ways to untap mana. I'll cover that in a second. But we can kind of generate a lot of mana, and especially when we have double cascade. We have a lot of tutors. We have a Cabal Therapy, stuff like that. So taking advantage of that double strike is really fun, and that's when you kind of really start to go off with the deck. But as far as the double strike cards that we're running in here, we're running Assault Probe. Awesome card. It's a sorcery. It's 1 red mana and gives target creature double strike. So if we get it kind of late game, maybe we get to turn 7, turn 8. We have a lot of lands out there. Simply casting because usually you want to save your spells for your second main phase once Yidris has done damage. So with Assault Probe, it's going to allow us to give him double strike in the main phase for 1 mana, which is really cheap, and to gain into that double cascade type effect. We're also running Psychotic Fury, really good card, target multicolored creature, which Yidris is 4 colors, definitely multicolored, gains double strike, and then we get to draw a card. So it's going to be able to kind of replace itself at the same time giving it double strike. We're also running Blood Mist. At the beginning of combat in your turn, target creature you control gains double strike. That's always fun. Get that down on turn 4, then get down Yidris, get him swinging in hot. We're also running an another enchantment. Attacking creatures you control have double strike. Berserker's Onslaught. So just once again fitting in with that double strike theme. And they also have Savage Beating. This is a little bit different one because we're dealing combat damage with Yidris, and we can give him double strike, but it comes at the cost of 5 mana. So what we're looking with Savage Beating is hopefully we have a couple cards that can untap all of our mana once Yidris attacks. So we're looking into spots where we can cast Savage Beating and then untap all of our lands to take advantage of that, because if we cast this 5 mana spell during our combat step and we have nothing to show for it with double cascade, it's not that good. But it's good when you have ways to untap your lands, which brings me to the untapping of lands. So we're running 3 different things in here. We're running Nature's Will. This is a really good card. So whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, and that counts for double strike, so we're going to get 2 triggers off of this. Tap all lands that players controls, and then untap all lands that we get. So if we want to, let's say we have a lot of mana, we can get into this spot to where we're going to deal that first strike damage, or that double strike damage, have that Nature's Will trigger, and then when he deals the secondary damage, we'll have another Nature's Will triggered, so we can kind of cascade some stuff in between those cascade triggers. We're also running Sword of Feast and Famine. It's just a nice way to pump it up, maybe if we need to get a commander damage win. And also gives it protection from black and green removal spells. But at the same time, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card and you untap all lands that you control. And once again, it says combat damage. So if we have double strike, we're going to get 2 untapped triggers on all of our lands. So if we've got 5 lands out there, untapping them, going like that, you can generate a lot of mana. We're also running Bear Umbra, which is just... oh, it's my favorite Umbra. It's a bear. I think this card art's so funny to me. It's just that dude's floating through the forest. That's good. I like that. That's a happy man right there. But, so we're going to give Yidris +2/+2. And this is important because whenever it attacks, untap all lands that you control. So let's say that we get Bear Umbra on Yidris. So he's like kind of cruising through the forest in his little bear costume. We can cast Savage Beating. Cast it during our main phase, and then have that Bear Umbra to untap all of our lands. So that way we have that free double strike. So that's kind of what Savage Beating is in here for, so we can get that Bear Umbra on Yidris and give him that totem armor. I don't know, I'm just laughing. Imagine, just like stop for a second. Imagine Yidris cruising through the forest. Right there, okay. Alright, that's enough. Let's get on with the Let's get on with the deck tech. So now that we've set up ways to give Yidris double strike, we're giving Yidris double strike. We have a couple enchantments or an artifact out there to give him untap all of our lands. We're generating a lot of mana. One of the ways that we want to take advantage of the double cascade type effect is having cheap spells. That's really important in this deck. We're running stuff like, where is it? We're running a lot of delve spells in here, so we're running death rattle. Now this costs a lot. It's 5. Murderous Cut is the functionally better card. Destroy target creature, and it costs less. Death rattle says destroy target non-green creature. It's mainly in here in the. Let's say that we get double cascade up and running, and we have a lot of cards in our graveyard. We can fire this death rattle off for 6 and have that double cascade and hit a lot more stuff, really utilizing our graveyard. Same thing with Tasigur. If it'll switch over, there we go. Tasigur, he has Delve. It's just a value creature if we have double strike. If we have Savage Beating out there, not Savage Beat, yeah. No, where is it? The enchantment. Berserker's Onslaught. So we have Berserker's Onslaught, a 4/5 swinging in for 8. Could be enough to kind of close the game out. We're also running stuff like Become Immense. It's something that we can maybe fight through, kind of use it as a removal spell. Let's say we swing in as a 5/4 and our opponent blocks with a 5/5. So we can fire this Become Immense off, give it that damage to make sure we get enough trample damage. Or if we have double strike or something like that, we can make sure that we really get it. And since it has Delve, we can give it, it's cheaper to cast, so we have a bunch of stuff in our graveyard. Same thing with Treasure Cruise, just in here, draw 3 cards, kind of refuel our hand. Hopefully we hit like a tutor or like a cantrip. Where is it? Cabal Ritual or Dark Ritual or something like that. Also running Dig Through Time allows us to search up a card, or look at the top 7, not search up a card, look at the top 7, grab 2, and kind of refuel and keep storming off of that. Because if we get into a spot to where it's late game, we have enough mana, this will allow us to maybe potentially storm off and win the game with an actual storm card. And as a little bit of removal, we have Blasphemous Axe. So let's say we do deal double strike, and we need to clear the board out. We're going to have a spell that costs 9, which is almost going to cover everything in our deck. So we'll have that double cascade off that. And Temporal Trespass. This is a really fun card. It's in here just because of the delve, and take an extra turn. I usually, I could have loaded it up with more extra turn cards in this deck. I usually don't. I usually do about 1 extra turn card per commander deck. I feel like when you go too many extra turns, this is just my personal playstyle, but I feel when you go too many extra turns in Commander, it kind of gets a little boring for your opponent. So we're already doing a bunch of busted stuff, so we only have 1 extra turn card in here, and it's Temporal Trespass, which costs 11 mana conceivably. And but yeah, I got to fire it off in one of my videos. It was really sweet. I might have had a Howl of the Horde in there somewhere. That was pretty cool. Now that's the cheap spells, the delve spells that are running in here. We're also running stuff like Gush. So return 2 islands to your hand rather than paying its mana cost, and draw 2 cards. So we can return 2 islands, add that mana to our mana pool for trying to go off that turn, draw 2 extra cards, maybe we grab a tutor piece or something to put on top of our library, and it's free. That's what you're looking for, those free spells. Once again, we're running Murderous Cut, Delve Spell Removal, and they're running Snuff Out. So we can pay 4 life, get a cascade for 3, and that hits a lot of our utility stuff over here. So these are kind of the ways to take advantage of the double cascade or casting bigger spells for free. You're just kind of looking to just get a whole flurry of spells up. Which brings me, for casting a bunch of spells, is going to bring us to our Storm action. So we're running 3 Storm cards in here. We're running Mind's Desire. Where's the other one? We're running Tendrils of Agony, and we're also running Temporal Fissure. These are the only. I'm not running Grapeshot in here. I don't know. I could have, but I like the storm spread. I don't want it to be full storm. I don't want to go off every time, but having access to these storm cards is pretty cool. So let's start with Mind's Desire. So shuffle your library, exile the top card of your library until end of turn. You may play that card without paying its mana cost. So let's say we just cast a bunch of cantrips. We get to like Storm 4, Storm 5. Simply firing this Mind's Desire off and casting stuff off the top of our library is just really good. A lot of fun. I think I got to fire Mind's Desire off. I don't know if I did it in a recorded video. I know I did it in practice, but it's just a really fun card. If we have the mana, it's in there. It's an awesome card. We're also running Tendrils of Agony. This is one of the ways to kind of close it out. Let's say we've got a few commander, a double strike Yidris at a 5 is putting in, 10, 15 commander damage against our opponents, which is enough to get their life total down. So winning with Tendrils of Agony is really not that far-fetched. A target player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life, and you're going to be able to storm off of that. So we have a lot of just, 1 mana, 2 mana spells. So getting to a lethal Tendrils of Agony is really not that far-fetched for this deck. We're also running Temporal Fissure, return target permanent to its owner's hand. This is something I'm not going to go for all the time. If we're playing against an oppressive commander, maybe it's some Super Friends type deck, then we're going to bounce a bunch of stuff back to its hand. Or if they're going to win, I have no problem getting a nice little storm count up and bouncing a bunch of lands back to their hands so we can get double strike. It's another way to close the game out. I had one opponent where I fired like a Temporal Fissure off for like a 6 storm count, and he just scooped and he got really mad. But I, it is what it is. I'm not trying to be a jerk. It's a storm card, and it's one of my win conditions. So that's one of those things you got to watch out if you're going to build this deck or play the deck. As some people may not like storm, and unfortunately that's commander. I don't like infect, but I'm not going to throw a hissy fit whenever my opponent wins it with infect damage. But is what it is. And then the other storm card, which is really cool, Aether Flux Reservoir. So whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell that you've cast this turn. Then activation, pay 50 life. Aether Flux Reservoir deals 50 damage to target creature or player. I may or may not have gotten an Aether Flux Reservoir card or win off in one of my videos, so if you want to check it out, which I think you should. But yeah, it's just a fun card. Let's say we get into a spot where we can't get Aegis up and running, you can't attack, we can chain enough spells together to where we can just get just getting above 50 life. We're starting at 40, and if our opponent's not applying a lot of pressure, let's say they're running some type of fog deck, then we have Aether Flux Reservoir as a backup to kind of get some nice little storm action. But I think that's the deck in a nutshell. We're running, your basic tutor stuff, Imperial Seal, Vampiric Tutor. Oh, Unblockable. I did not cover that. So we're running Distortion Strike. Target creature gets +1 until end of turn and can't be blocked. Now that's really important. It's going to have rebound. So we get to cast it. We can make Yidris unblockable with Double Strike, get those double cascade triggers. Then it has rebound, so we can do it again next turn. So Distortion Strike is definitely one of those game-changing cards that if we draw into it, we have a lot of mana, it can definitely close the game out for us through a bunch of storm action, allowing you just to get in with a double cascade, or simply closing the game out with commander damage. This is one of those decks to where I kind of wish commander damage was off the table for the deck, because Yidris with the 5-body double strike, you can get to commander damage pretty quick, and I want to win casting some spells. So, but yeah, with the unblockable, it's definitely a good card to have. And we're also running Aqueous Form. Where is it? If I can find it. There we go. Aqueous Form. Target creature can't be blocked, and then we have the Scry action, which is really nice if we need to set up some cascade stuff. And we're running Artful Dodge, so we can cast that, or let's say it gets in the graveyard. We have the flashback. Once again, it's only just like the Assault Probe. It's only 1 blue mana to give Yidris unblockable. So yeah, I meant to cover that at the beginning. I forgot about that. So we've basically, long story short, wrapping up Yidris. The core components of the deck are giving it unblockable, giving it double strike, casting a bunch of free spells, or like low cost spells that cost a lot, or taking advantage of delve mana, and then just having some fun. Well, oh yeah, as far as the I need to cover this over here. We missed over. We have Cabal Ritual, so once we have Threshold, we're gonna have 5 mana to our mana pool. Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual is a really good card in that when we cast it, we have 3 spells that cost 1 or less. We have Mana Crypt, Wheel of Fate, or Ancestral Vision. So we're hoping to hit Wheel of Fate or Ancestral Vision off a Dark Ritual. We're gonna get that 3 mana in our hand. We draw 3 cards off Ancestral Vision, awesome. Or if we fire off a Wheel of Fate, getting a fresh new hand, we'll have that 3 extra mana. And, any Storm deck would not be incomplete without Yawgmoth's Wheel. Exile cards, it's a little hard to set up getting a nice little Yawgmoth's Wheel, but, it's entirely possible. And we're running Rashmi. Rashmi kind of fits into the Aether Flux Reservoir category to where we're just going to get extra value off our spells. But yeah, so you got Yidris, Unblockable, Double Strike, untap your mana, cheap spells, and then the Storm action. So, and then backup Storm stuff. So that's the deck in a nutshell. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this deck tech. I've got 3 nice fun videos for you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.